Well, guys, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm not a professional YouTuber. Uh, but I wisened up a little bit and pulled all the shit out of the bag and make it a little bit easier and keep the camera a little bit more steady so you can see everything. Um, Without going over things, providing a bunch of redundant information for you, I'll just go over some general concepts. I keep my broadheads in here for my judo points for small game hunting. And this little guy here, you guys have seen the sling bow. I just added a compass to it. My fire kit, gloves, very important, maxi cut. They're not insulated, but they're good, sturdy, cut-resistant gloves, and they're rubberized as well. Every survival kit has the obligatory handkerchief. It's definitely a good thing to have, and they are useful, but they're pretty much lauded as one of those things that if you don't have a handkerchief, you're never going to survive. Anyway, the Smith's Pocket Survivor is a killer piece of kit. I've got some signaling ability there. I've got a backup ferro rod here. Obviously, it's sharpening, and then it has a little built-in LED light. So I've got some redundant lighting, which is pretty important to me. Going over my fire kit a little bit for you. Yet another button compass. I have it rolled with electrical tape, and electrical tape is useful for a lot of things. One of them that many people probably don't know is that it makes a pretty decent tourniquet. I'm an EMT, EMT basic, and basically I've come to the conclusion that with a lot of the medical stuff that's out there, if you're in a WROL or an SHTF situation, you could put a tourniquet on somebody, but they're going to lose that leg, and without antibiotics, they're probably going to lose that leg to infection, if nothing else, and amputation, all that stuff. So I mean, guys, all that stuff is good, but really, if you don't know how to properly use a tourniquet or under what conditions that you should use one, you got no business even owning one. To be perfectly honest with you guys, it's not something to offend anybody. Only saying that for your own good. If you can't stop the bleeding by normal pressure, then you're pretty much screwed if there's no hospital. If you get hit in the chest, sucking chest wound, there's a good chance you'll expire before you make it to a hospital. Not that you can't. And I do know some tricks, and I do keep some things like my tinfoil and my tape to make an Asherman chest seal or things like that. But guys, if you don't have the medical training, you're basically doing yourself no favors by carrying anything other than basic first aid. So rant over. UCO stormproof matches, absolute bomb-proof solution for fire starting. Inside, I keep some Trick birthday candles, the Trick relighting ones that you ran into when you were a kid and saw your wishes flee from your grasp. Yeah, those ones. So sometimes you run into a stubborn fire situation, wet kindling, wet conditions, damp, and sometimes a single amount of fire, open flame for a little bit of time isn't enough. So these Trick candles burn for about 4 minutes, and if the wind blows them out, they'll relight themselves. So just a handy trick. I didn't learn that anywhere. You remember that you heard it here first. I keep Tinder Quick, which is not as good as Wet Fire, but it is cheaper, and I use a fair amount of this stuff, so I went with the cheaper option. Carry a Fresnel lens, and this is a really handy tool for fire starting. It's very thin. It's extremely durable. Mine's bent right now, but it'll still start a fire. Here's another ferro rod, just a UST one. Little mini cheapo Walmart job. And a Bic lighter. I keep a lot of layered survival kits. That's one thing I'm big on, is layering. So my wallet contains some survival kit items. My jacket, winter jacket that I wear every day, contains survival items for winter time, that kind of thing. There's my Sawyer water filter. There's a little bit better detailed view of my multi-tool there. The syringe is for back flushing the filter. This heaping coil of mess is my Hennessy hammock, Expedition model, and the Hex Fly. It's a really great shelter system, guys, and if you're looking for a good shelter, I highly recommend this one. Hygiene items are really important. Hand sanitizer is a must. You can use it as an accelerant. The stuff burns. So for aiding in fire starting, for washing hands, it's fairly multi-purpose. I keep my bug repellent, just some basic stuff, aloe vera for burns, bug dope, a cut down toothbrush. I cut my handles off my toothbrushes to save space and weight. I've just got the little mini travel bottles of stuff, and it's really inexpensive to get this stuff, so you really shouldn't, you really don't have much of an excuse for not having it, and people will thank you if you're around anybody else. Same thing with razors. If you do have to do some emergency surgery or extraction of something, it could be really good to be able to clean that area. And I keep wet wipes. A lot of people think they're just going to go out and wipe their ass with leaves, but it's hard to do in the wintertime. And unless you feel like stuffing your rectum with handfuls of snow until you resemble something like a Thanksgiving turkey, I highly recommend you keep some toilet paper or something like that. This is way more than 3 days worth of food. For me, even though I'm 200 pounds, a little over average height, this is a good amount of food for me. This is vacuum sealed saffron rice, non-GMO stuff, 3 packs of chunk light tuna, 3 instant potatoes. Normally I carry a lot of drink mixes and stuff. I have to restock my bag, but these are really great. Keep your immune system up, help you with sleep a little bit. That melatonin is a lifesaver. And I also carry some earplugs too if I'm sleeping in a noisy environment. Obviously, depending on the situation, you might not want earplugs in if you, for some reason, might need to wake up if you hear a noise. So I keep a water bladder in my backpack. Not really going to pull that out. I normally do keep a stainless steel water bottle. Unfortunately, my water bottle was stolen the other day, so I don't have that with me. And clothes. So this is my hat. I wear it every day. My sunglasses. Earth tone clothing. Overshirt, t-shirts, socks, underwear. As many pairs of socks as you can carry. That is something you really can't go without. My Carhartt double front green work pants. And last but not least, guys, and this is one of my biggest gripes with all of the survival information on YouTube. Nobody talks about these. Ever. No one says anything about boots. Now, people tend to talk about bugging out as if they're going to go on a little hike, a little stroll into the woods and just disappear. That they're going to be able to walk, deep into the wilderness, away from God and everybody, and survive. Well, are you going to do it in flip-flops? Are you used to walking barefoot? because a lot of the stuff that people wear on their feet is absolute garbage. You know, none of us frown at spending, you know, $1,500 on an AR and putting accessories on it, but you know, suddenly people get all weird when you talk about buying a pair of quality boots. And these are just my work boots, guys. They're composite safety toe boots, which I think, hey guys, you know, you're going to be doing some pretty heavy stuff in an SHTF environment that is going to require you to be able to run, to be able to work, and work implies accidents. I mean, things could fly, you know, fall on your feet, you know, changing a tire, anything like that. So I go with a composite toe, especially for winter time. In my area, it gets really cold, and steel will just freeze your foot solid. So I go with a composite toe, as well as they're lighter. These are Skechers. They're comfortable. I modified them with parachute cord for the laces, and that's a really handy mod just in case you need some extra parachute cord. So it's something I recommend. Underneath the soles, I'd recommend, you know, if you have an insole or something like that, to, you know, put a little bit of money underneath it. Put a pair of $20 bills in each shoe. Fold it up in maybe a cigarette cellophane pack or something like that. Seal it up well and hide them in your insoles. Keep some emergency information, logins, passwords, things like that. You know, any information that you need in a little piece of paper, and you know, put it, you know, protect it with some plastic or something, and stick it in your shoe. And that's what I'd recommend anybody do. And if you can fit a little bit of more survival gear somewhere, you know, tucked away in some little nook and cranny in your shoes, then I'd say go for it, do it. And a winter jacket's a must. Hats, insulated gloves, which I do keep in my jacket. Like I said, I'm big on layering, so having an extra flashlight, extra, you know, space blanket, things like that. My kit's a little dry right now. I don't have everything that I'm supposed to have in my gear, just because of loss or damage or things that I've used and not replaced yet. But anyway, that pretty much concludes the video, guys. Let me know what you think, and happy prepping.